CEO Ronald Hickler from Creating the Difference. I want to talk to you about a topic that people ask about all the time, and it's what are the best bowling balls of 2019? So we're going to talk a little bit about what the best bowling balls are of our opinion of 2019, and we're going to get started by starting out by talking about the four types of ball motion. So the four types of ball motion are a way to categorize all bowling balls that come out. The four types of ball motion are either straight, traction, continuous, or angular, and you can see what the shapes of these balls look like. And we're going to start by looking at the traction balls first. So basically what we did was we looked at all the major manufacturers, looked at all the balls they came out with, and then decided to rank all the balls by ball motion, and then pick the best balls from each manufacturer in terms of the best ball motion that they offered. So we're going to start by looking at the traction ball motion. The first ball we're going to look at here is the DV8 version. I'm going to tell you why I like this ball. So this ball I think was kind of a sleeper product in 2019, primarily because it came out against a whole bunch of other balls. But I think this was a really, really solid piece. It was a very strong ball. It was very usable over a wide range of conditions. And we're going to show you all of the RG differential mass bias information on the left-hand side, as you can see here. But nonetheless, this is one of those pieces that I think it kind of got lost in 2019, but definitely was a solid, solid piece. Next, we're going to work our way to the Radical Squatch Solid, which is actually also another symmetrical ball from the Radical family, which is kind of Brunswick, DV8, Radical. They're kind of all manufactured by Brunswick, but they're different. So this ball was kind of cool because I saw a lot of the staff players liked this piece because for a ball that was strong, it was very, very usable. So there's guys that you could get left with this ball and still be able to get it to come around the corner, even though it was a strong traction ball. I saw a lot of the staff players use this ball, and just some people in general made some really, really cool comments about this ball when it came out. We're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the Ebonite Vortex 2. This is a kind of a unique throwback piece because the original Vortex 2 came out in the late 90s, and this was kind of a remake back to that piece. And essentially what made this ball so good back then, which is also what made the ball usable now, is its ability to be very, very strong, still early, but once again, it would keep going. A lot of traction balls tend to be early, tend to work best in heavy oil. When the lanes begin to transition is when they begin to fail because they hook too early and then they bail, they quit, they don't come around the corner. Vortex 2, Squatch Solid, both were very good pieces at being able to keep going when you got a little bit of transition as well as a DV8 Verge. So that was kind of the reason why these balls kind of stood out from the respective parties in terms of being able to create a usable ball motion for a majority of players for a longer period of time. Last but not least is the Columbia 300 Resurgence, also another remake ball from the Columbia 300 family. Symmetrical ball, same concept, strong piece. When you get a little bit of transition, even though it was early, it did not tend to bail as bad as some of the other pieces, and as a result of that, it becomes more usable. So now we'll switch gears and talk about continuous ball motion. This is the ball motion that most people look to get and look to have. It's a ball that once it begins to make the move, it continues all the way through the pins, tends to be the most usable of the four ball motions, and tends to be pieces that exhibit this ball motion tend to do very, very well in the marketplace. So we're going to start with probably the best one, which is kind of a unique piece, the Hammer Purple Hammer, and the fact that this ball was a urethane ball. So what made this ball different, I think, in a lot of cases, is high rev rate guys could get this ball to continue, even though it didn't hook a whole lot. So typically, when you get to continuous balls for the high rev rate guys, they struggle with them because they can't use them very long because they just hook too much. But this ball in particular exhibited some unique characteristics in the fact that it could be used by high rev rate guys and it would keep going down the lane. But if you were a low rev rate guy, you could still use this ball on shorter patterns. So it became a piece that was more usable probably than anybody thought it could possibly be. But the overall perception was that this ball was definitely a good piece. Now, with that being said, it also is a little bit harder to find as because of the situation that happened with the Ebonite International family, with all their brands kind of being acquired by Brunswick. But nonetheless, this definitely was a piece that if you can find one or you have one, you should hold on to it. And the good thing about urethane, it doesn't lose performance. This is an old ball, Venom Shock from Motiv, but nonetheless, this is one of the best balls in the last 5 or 6 years, honestly. Very, very strong piece from a continuation standpoint, meaning once that ball begins to make the move, it keeps going. And you can use this 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I remember watching a guy shoot, he shot 889 with this ball several years ago, but it's just one of those balls that's just really, really good. Like, it just matches up to a lot of people. It's not too much hook, it's not too little hook. It's the right amount of hook, and it's the right amount of hook for a long period of time. And even though it did not come out in 2019, it is still available in 2019. Then we have the Track Triton Elite, same kind of concept, pretty good piece here. Definitely one of those balls that you want to have in your bag if you're looking for a good continuous ball, because it's usable. Just usable for a lot of conditions, a lot of styles of player. High rev rate, low rev rate, didn't seem to matter a whole lot. Just a good overall piece. We'll go into angular ball motion, which is going to be the last one we'll cover. Obviously, straight ball motion doesn't need to be covered in this video. But angular ball motion, we'll start with the RotoGrip Halo Pearl. This piece, in my opinion, was probably one of the strongest back-ending pieces that was asymmetrical of all the balls that were made this year. Just a good back-ending angular piece. Guys that are low rev rate, guys that are high ball speed, guys that really, really struggle getting the bowling ball to come around the corner can go to this type of a ball and find a good aggressive ball motion. Yet you still saw some two-handed players, some no-thumb players be able to get this bowling ball down the lane because it was angular. It would go down the lane, and then strong enough down lane to make an aggressive move and still be usable. So definitely one of the pieces that we found to be pretty popular this year. Brunswick Prism Hybrid, this is a relatively new piece, which is kind of interesting because Brunswick is not typically known for this type of ball motion, the angular ball motion, but I would tell you this definitely is one of those angular pieces. Same concept, I would say a little bit stronger overall total hook than the Halo Pearl, but nonetheless, it's definitely a ball that still exhibited that angular character. So guys that were struggling a little bit with bowling balls that were angular going too long for them, but still wanted that shape, this ball definitely would be a piece that you want to be looking at. I think it's a really, really good overall piece for guys that are low rev rate, guys that really want to get that ball to turn down lane, but typically throw it a little bit too hard to get the ball to actually make the move. So I think there's a lot of things that are happening in the industry right now that are a little bit different, and this is one of those pieces that definitely falls into that category. Then we follow it up with the Storm Phase 3. Once again, a relatively new piece. This ball is getting a lot of positive traction in the industry all over the place. Angular ball motion definitely gets down the lane, definitely makes the corner. Doesn't matter whether you're low rev rate, high ball speed, low ball speed. Ball just tends to do the right thing in a lot of the right places where people are looking for it to happen. And like I said, this is one of those things where some of the balls we've shown you are new, some of the balls are older, but we feel that these balls basically kind of represent the best of what 2019 had to offer, and we're hoping that you also have an opinion. Check this out. The 900 Global White Hot Badger. Another piece that was kind of a surprise, I think. People really didn't really understand, or this ball kind of got lost a little bit. Interesting concept. It's a thick shell ball, meaning there's a cover stock and a core only, no outer core, which is typical of balls. As a result of that, the numbers are a little bit weird. The RG is higher than most balls at 257, differentials 041, and it's a symmetrical ball. But what made this ball special, I think, is because it was a two-piece ball, and because it was angular, it would work on a lot of conditions. We saw guys throwing this on fresh conditions, especially when the lanes begin to transition or when the lanes really begin to dry out and you really had to get that ball to make that move off the corner aggressively, but not so aggressively that you would read the wet dry too hard. So I think this ball was a really, really good ball at blending out wet dry, but yet still giving you that angular ball motion. So giving you a quick rundown of what we thought of the best balls were for 2019. If you agree or disagree, please give us some comments. Drop them in the bottom. We'll take a look at them. We'll add them to our collection and definitely give you some responses. We appreciate all that you've done for creating the difference this year. Hopefully you appreciated this video. And as always, have a happy new year for 2020. Be safe out there. And with that being said, I'm out of here. CEO Ron Higgler from Creating the Difference. Talk to you next year.